The call came on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, while I was buried in quarterly reports at my downtown office. The number was unfamiliar. I almost let it ring out, almost. Hello, is this Sophia Martinez? The woman's tone was polished but uneasy. Yes, this is she. This is Jennifer Walsh, wedding planner for your brother David's wedding at the Ocean View Grand Resort. I set my coffee down slowly. David hadn't spoken to me in months, not since that family dinner where he'd announced, to everyone's approval, that I was no longer welcome. What can I do for you, Ms. Walsh? Well, this is uncomfortable. I received a call from your parents this morning. They've asked me to remove you from the guest list entirely. Their words were, "She's not family anymore. She isn't needed at this celebration." I leaned back, letting the city skyline fill my vision. I see. And what was your response? I told them I'd handle it professionally. I'm calling each guest personally. I'm very sorry, Miss Martinez. That's kind of you. Jennifer, may I ask, how is the Ocean View treating you so far? The shift in subject caught her off guard. Oh, it's incredible. One of the best venues I've ever worked with. Staff, facilities, everything is first class. We were lucky to get next Saturday. They're usually booked months ahead. I'm glad David chose well. I picked up my phone. Jennifer, I'll need to call you back in 10 minutes. Moments later, I was on the line with Jonathan Pierce, general manager of the Ocean View Grand, the flagship of my resort chain. Sophia, he said, already expecting me. How should I proceed with the Martinez wedding? Cancel it. Effective immediately. Full refund. Of course. Tell them a corporate buyout requires the entire property. No alternatives? None. And inform all 6 sister resorts they cannot host this wedding either. Make sure Jennifer knows the decision came directly from the chain's owner. Understood. 8 minutes later, Jennifer was back on my line, her voice tight with panic. Miss Martinez, I just got a call from the resort. The wedding's been cancelled. No reschedule. No other properties. Nothing. The manager said the decision came from the chain's owner. I've never seen anything like this. That must be difficult, I said smoothly. It's a disaster. 200 guests. 5 days to go. And no venue. She hesitated. Miss Martinez, you share the same last name. Do you happen to know someone at the chain? I smiled at the framed photo on my desk, me, cutting the ribbon at the Ocean View acquisition ceremony. Jennifer, let me clear something up. The corporate buyout they mentioned? That would be mine. I own the Ocean View resort chain. Silence. 10 long seconds of it. You own it? All 7 properties? Yes. Acquired them 3 years ago through my firm. But your family said, she stumbled. They made it sound like you were struggling, that you'd given up childish dreams. I laughed softly. Jennifer, could you do me one more favor? Call my brother into this conversation. Minutes later, David's voice cut in, sharp and impatient. Jennifer, please tell me you've solved this venue crisis. David, she began carefully, your sister is on the line with us. What? Why? His tone turned icy. I told you. Jennifer, she isn't part of this wedding. She lives for drama. David, I said evenly. Jennifer called to tell me I'd been removed from the guest list. Good. Exactly as it should be. We don't need you sabotaging my big day. Jennifer tried to interject. David, there's something about the venue. Whatever it costs. Just book another luxury location. Money isn't the issue. This wedding has to reflect our family's status. Tell me, David, I cut in. When you booked the Ocean View Grand, did you bother checking who owns it? Why would I? Some faceless corporation. All that matters is prestige. Jennifer's voice was a whisper. David, your sister owns the chain. The silence this time was heavier. That's impossible, he spat. Sophia works some mediocre job. She lives in a shoebox apartment. She drives. David, I said gently, I live in a penthouse downtown. And I don't drive. I'm usually in a car service, working between meetings. The car you've seen is just my weekend runabout. David snapped. Sophia, stop making things up for attention. I ignored him. Jennifer, could you please read David the exact message you received from the resort's general manager? I heard her shuffle papers. Yes, word for word, he said, due to a corporate decision from the chain owner. We cannot accommodate the Martinez wedding at any of our 7 regional locations. 7? David's voice cracked. How many properties are we talking about? The Ocean View chain includes 7 luxury resorts, I said evenly. That means the Grand Resort for your wedding, the Palms for Victoria's bridal shower, and the Marina for your rehearsal dinner, all part of my portfolio. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Sophia, David said slowly, are you telling me you own all of them? I own the entire chain, acquired in 2021 through Martinez Hospitality Holdings, named after our family. Jennifer's voice grew steadier now that she understood. So when the general manager said the owner made this decision personally? That was me. David let out a bitter laugh, but it sounded weak. This can't be real. Prove it. Jennifer, call the resort. Confirm it. Jennifer hesitated. Should I? No. I cut in. Stay on the line. 3-way the call. David should hear it himself. Moments later, Jonathan Pierce, the general manager, joined. Good afternoon. This is Jonathan Pierce. Mr. Pierce, Jennifer said quickly. There's confusion regarding ownership. I have David Martinez and his sister Sophia here. No confusion at all, Jonathan replied. Miss Sophia Martinez is the sole owner of all Ocean View resorts. She purchased the chain in 2021 and has been an exceptional owner. David's voice was barely audible. How much did it cost? Jonathan paused. I can't disclose details, but the acquisition was valued at over $200 million. The only sound was David's shallow breathing. Mr. Martinez, Jonathan continued, per your sister's instructions, your deposit refund is being processed immediately. I spoke gently. David, are you still with us? Sophia, how could you own a $200 million chain? Where did that money come from? I've been investing since college. Started small, scaled carefully. The resorts are my largest holding, but not my only one. But Mom and Dad said. They said I was struggling because I stopped talking about business with the family. Every time I tried, I was dismissed or overshadowed by someone else's achievements. Jennifer's voice was tentative. Should I give you two some privacy? Actually, Jennifer, one more question. How soon could you secure another venue for 200 guests in 5 days? With this notice? Nearly impossible. What if I offered a private option, more exclusive than the Grand Resort? David's voice was sharp. Sophia, don't. I smiled. Jennifer, I own an 8th property, my private island resort on Catalina. 40 acres, private beach, helicopter access, luxury accommodations for the wedding party. It isn't open to public bookings. Jennifer gasped. A private island resort? That's extraordinary. David's voice was tight. Why would you even offer that after everything we said? Because despite the way I've been treated, you're still my brother, and Victoria deserves the wedding of her dreams. I don't know what to say. You don't need to. Here's my offer, the island. All expenses covered. Catering, accommodations, helicopter transport for the entire bridal party. The perfect wedding. Jennifer's voice brimmed with disbelief. Ms. Martinez, this is the most generous turnaround I've ever seen. There's just one condition, I said calmly. David's voice was wary. What condition? I want an invitation to my brother's wedding. The silence stretched. Then, at last, of course, David whispered. Of course you're invited. We need to talk. Really talk. And we will, I said softly. But first, let's make sure your wedding is flawless. Jennifer, coordinate with my events team. Jonathan, arrange helicopter transport for guests. Everything must be seamless. Both agreed, their voices filled with awe. When they left the call, only David remained. Sophia, he said quietly, I owe you the biggest apology of my life. We both share blame, I replied. I stayed silent. You assumed. But now, maybe we can reset. His voice cracked. Mom and Dad convinced me you'd create drama. That's why I agreed to uninvite you. David, when have I ever made family events about me? Never. You've always stayed in the background. Exactly. Silence doesn't mean failure. It just means I kept my life private. A long pause. Then his voice, raw with regret. Can we start over, Sophia? I looked at the city skyline outside my window, the evidence of my success surrounding me. Yes, David, but it has to be real. No more assumptions, no more dismissals. From now on, when I share something, I expect it to be valued just like anyone else's. Absolutely. And Sophia, Victoria and I, we want to make this right. All of us. Then let's start with giving you both the most beautiful wedding possible. I said, you can make things right with the family afterward. David hesitated. The private island resort. Sophia, that's too generous. We can't accept something that expensive. I smiled, glancing out at the skyline of the city I'd helped reshape. David, it's not about money. It's about family. And no matter what's happened, you're still my family. He swallowed hard. We don't deserve this kindness. Maybe not, but you're getting it anyway. That's what family does. I need to call Victoria, and Mom and Dad, they should know. Wait, I said, don't tell them yet. For now, just tell them the venue crisis is resolved. After the wedding, when emotions aren't running high, we'll have the bigger conversation. Why wait? Because right now they'd just be defensive and embarrassed. Let them enjoy a beautiful wedding first. He nodded slowly. You've always been the smart one in the family. We're all smart in different ways, David. We just haven't been very good at recognizing it. 3 days later, I stood on the deck of my private resort as the sun sank over the Pacific. The island was glowing, thousands of white lights strung through palm trees, elegant tables set on the sand, a dance floor overlooking the ocean. Victoria cried when she saw it. Sophia, this is more beautiful than anything I imagined. My parents had been strangely quiet since arriving. They kept asking how I'd pulled off such a miracle, and I kept deflecting with vague answers about connections. The ceremony was flawless. David's vows drew tears, and Victoria looked radiant against the ocean backdrop. For the first time in years, I felt genuine happiness for them. Later, at the reception, my father cornered me at the bar. Sophia, this place. How did you manage something like this? I've never seen anything so extraordinary. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Dad. But the cost, it must be astronomical. How are we paying for this? I sipped my champagne. Don't worry, it's handled. He frowned. But you can't afford something like this. Nobody could, except maybe billionaires. Dad, I said gently. Remember, we'll talk after the wedding. Tonight is about David and Victoria. He nodded, but I could see the questions burning in his eyes. Later, my mother pulled me aside near the dance floor. Sophia, I need to apologize for what happened with the guest list, David told me. It's okay, Mom. No, it isn't. We made assumptions about your life, and we were wrong. Let's talk tomorrow. Tonight is for celebrating. Her eyes watered. But you still gave David this dream wedding after the way we treated you. I don't understand. I looked around at the fairy tale scene, David and Victoria dancing under the stars, relatives laughing like I'd rarely seen. Because seeing everyone happy is worth it. Family is complicated, but it's still family. You're a better person than we deserved, she whispered. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do moving forward. The next morning, at brunch on the terrace, the family gathered, still glowing from the celebration. My father set down his coffee. I think it's time for some honesty. David cleared his throat. Dad, there are things about Sophia we need to discuss, like how she managed all this. I drew a breath. Before we go there, let me be clear. I didn't give you this wedding to prove a point or make anyone feel small. I did it because I love this family, despite everything. Communication problems? My mother asked carefully. Mom, when's the last time you really asked me about my work? Not polite small talk, really asked? She hesitated. I assumed if something important was happening, you'd tell us. I tried, I said softly, but every time I shared good news, the conversation shifted to someone else, or I was told I was being unrealistic. Eventually, I stopped sharing. And like and subscribe for more videos.